Hello and welcome to another episode of the Shute Out. We are halfway through the Blue Crane Capital Shoot Shield season, and Tom Coolican, round 9, some massive performances, which we'll get to very soon. But gee, that ladder is starting to look very interesting.
Yeah, two sides that were toppled the week before certainly bounced back with a vengeance. Couple of resounding performances. The competition is starting to take shape. I'm really excited about the teams this week going up against it again.
Make sure you subscribe to the channel, give it a like, let us know what you'd like to see more of or less of, and we'll keep diving into the players, the coaches, and obviously all of the matchups in the Blue Crane Capital Shoot Shield throughout the next little while. But tonight's show, Kulo, our match of the round in round 10 on 9Gem and 9 Now. Gordon hosting Eastern Suburbs. We're going to be joined by Gordon scrum half Lachie Albert, who's had a terrific start to the season, and East's coach Ben Batger, who has an incredible record with East since taking over a few years ago. But we're hoping to catch up with Drew Tonks on the refs room. Drew's had a big week, but he is set to referee his 100th clash this weekend up in Newcastle. But let's get into the round 9 reviews. Kulo, our match of the round was the Two Blues against Warringah. It ended up being Warringah 64, the Two Blues 26. And we found out a lot about Warringah and a fair bit about the Two Blues as well.
Yeah, completely. I thought during the week Josh Holmes was just taking the 4 points, but I think we probably underestimated how much Warringah would have bounced back, and they bounced back with a vengeance, as we said. Those mid-season tune-ups like that loss versus Eastwood can really spark you. And a couple of key stats. It took the Two Blues 54 minutes to score a single point. They were down 43-0 at one stage, 31-0 at half-time. I think the Two Blues spent the first 10 minutes of that game knocking on Warringah's door. They couldn't cross the line. They turned out 3 points at one stage. They made 3 mistakes on those 22 entries, and there were 3 tries. Vaihu, Ma, and Wood, who were just outstanding, and that was sort of the order of the day. Western Sydney Two Blues just couldn't execute in the right parts of the field, despite having good territory possession and stats there. But the Warringah Rats just made them pay every single time. Vaihu in his shoot shield debut was sublime.
Yeah.
The footwork, the magic feet, it was something else. Jackson Rapata as well. I've never seen Tetamaki, had such a quiet game, and Rapata really did a great job isolating him in defence. Rapata didn't overplay his hands, and the fact that the first 3 tries were scored by the back 3 says it all. Rats front row was rock solid too. Christian, Latu, Fepali off the bench, and Bo Abra too. Wes Thomas was fantastic. Good set piece day, good scrum. Unfortunately, the Two Blues, their set piece struggled. I thought Anderson was really good at centres, and Falafia and Dunster as well on the forwards, but a tough day at the office for them. It would have been a really tough review. But Warringah Rats letting everyone know they're defending premiers and they're here to play.
North's 22, Hunter Wildfires 19. Rawson Park looked great. North's taking the games out to their junior clubs. A really good battle between Norths and Hunter. Good old-fashioned, hard-nosed contest between two committed and determined sides. North's got a lovely opening try, and then Hunter's answer was a thing of beauty. Cullen Gray kicking, Phil Talaleva bursting through and gathering. Vahai the try. Hunter led 7-5 after 20. North Samara's Hunter very physical, as you'd expect. They targeted Bury, started to dominate the latter parts of the first half, and Phil Talaleva powered over off a line-out move in the 37th. Reward for their efforts. So 14-5 up. North some line-out and set piece issues early-ish in the second half. But North's bench came on and they were terrific. Really helped them score their second try. It was 12-14 at 60 minutes. Nathan Russell was terrific. Josh Barr looks like he's well and truly back and confident again. It was 19-12 with 12 to play. Hunter were up for the scrap, but yeah, look, it was just North, maybe in the end, just a little bit more clinical. Bury's kicking was really important. They got level. It was 19 all after 8 minutes, and then a penalty to make it 22-19. Hunter some bad errors late, but Circa did exceptionally well to stop a kick going out. And North's hold on, a tight win, an important one for them. So Eastwood 42, Uni 39. What a thriller.
I mean, just ask Parksy. This is probably the match of the round. It was a really gutsy win from this Eastwood side. 5 of 8 of their pack going the full 80 minutes, including the whole front row. That just shows how exceptionally fit that Anthony Griffin has this side at the moment. We talked about how hard the preseason was from the players. perspective, but as well, how gutsy they are, and how much they just want to dig in for each other. Uni made a number of changes throughout the game, a lot of changes, whole sail front row changes, between the 40th and 60th minute. They're up 24-14 at half time after a great try from Talatiana and Mangelsdorf just on the stroke of half time. They let this one slip. And you wonder if it was a little bit of a combination and cohesion side of things. Sometimes those reserves coming off the bench can disrupt, particularly early on the season. The cohesion will come for Uni, the combinations will come, but take nothing away from Eastwood. It was a massive win. Crow scoring early in the second half and off the back of a really dominant Eastwood scrum. Again, changes the front row and in the second row. It can take a while to settle your scrum down, and Eastwood capitalised on that. 64th minute, Uni are up 30-28. A Jylek yellow card, 64th minute. I thought Uni were home and hosed there. Not to be. Had opportunity to ice the game. Jocelyn scored a great try and Fowler slotted a goal from the corner. He was brilliant. He's really come into his form. He's playing his best rugby I've ever seen him play. A real standout. Uni, though, you think they're going to ice this game, and enter no one else but Dylan Nelson. Does the unit away David Campese on poor Tom Curtis. That flying mullet scores in the corner. Eastwood, just too good, too gutsy. One of the best wins I've seen at TG Milner. And it's a win they'll certainly remember, but universally let that one slip through their fingers. That may cost them, if they can't kind of start to win some games back from a momentum perspective. They'll come good. The cohesion will come, but a disappointing outfit for them, particularly being up 24-14 at half time.
The wee man, as Jyleg called him. If you haven't seen Jyleg's comments about Dylan Nelson, definitely go back and have a look across the shorts and the podcast. West Harbour 25, Gordon 59. It was a phenomenal start from West Harbour. This is what they can do. They can show that they can match it with plenty of sides. They took their opportunities. They were 8-0 up within the opening 5 minutes, and on the back of some penalties and the rub of the green, perhaps with some. Debrasini was steering them well. The forwards carried well. Raul Kawa Neems, hooker getting through plenty. Debrasini powering through. It's 13-0. But Gordon's scrum was utterly dominant. Connor Ferenisi is having his way at the moment in West Harbour. Had plenty of balls, but Gordon had the lead by 35 minutes. Arcus ran into a kick from Hickey. That back line is so impressive. Lachie Albert, our guest this evening, steering them around terrifically well. Snook's great. Korea was strong at times. Brandon Quinn scored a couple. Arcus, mentioned him, but he is really just going to another level. It became 49-18 when Spinks crossed under the posts in the 65th minute. Their ability to pounce and create is terrific. The forwards are great. They're mobile. They're strong. Look, there's lots of pace. They back themselves. Local juniors and Colts product, Will McKinnon, James Archer, 2 exciting young players came on for their Shute Shield debuts. It was a good day for Gordon, and just a little bit all too familiar for West Harbour, unfortunately. Great in passages, really strong moments, but the might of Gordon just a bit too strong. Manly, 21, Randwick, 31.
Yeah, ladies' day at Manly Oval. Big crowd settled in there. A couple of teams that are really desperate for a win. I think Randwick are on the ascendancy. They're finding form in the right part of the season, and Manly just hanging in there. They lack real depth and quality off the bench, and that really showed on Saturday. For now, Barrett, huge ins, and the experience and class they brought back made a massive difference. I also thought the Randwick defence, it's probably the best I've seen at their line speed, their intent to get off the line. They're up in numbers. They're in Joe Dillon's face. They're deprived him time. They're deprived him space. Isarani, every single time Dillon looked up, he was in there, creating havoc, which was really impressive to see. Wicks are up 17-7 at half time. I thought Billy Dickens did a great job. He scored 2 tries early on. Manly coming back off a huge scrum, which kept them in the game at certain stages. Another try to Chapman there in the 50th minute off a line-out overthrow with a great 50-22. But that was the last points that Manly scored, in the game. And we've seen that, from them a couple of times this season. Saw it in Norths, that draw early on in the season. The inability of the bench to kind of come on and to open things up, you just can't do that in this competition. And, to spend the last 3 minutes of the game scoreless, them going down 31-21, really disappointing for Sam Lane and for the Manly Marlins. We know what they can do, we know what they're capable of. They just don't have the firepower of the bench to kind of come in and close those games out. That Randwick side is starting to come, really into full swing at the moment. Talk about Nisarane, talk about Barrett, talk about Finau. James Hendren's back this week. Turunui's doing a great job there at 10. Matthias Jensen as well. They're scoring points on offer. And they're going to be hard to beat at home. Randwick have that identity. They know how to play, and they have the firepower to play that game plan, that they have to run it from anywhere. So the Wicks are certainly finding form the right part of the season, Will.
East's 101, Southern District's 5. A lot's been made of it, but it was a wild afternoon at Willara. Souths were really good to start. Genuinely, almost dominated, but 3 minutes and 31 seconds in that changed. So no look pass. The Souths were probing East's line. It hit the deck, picked up by Gavin, Sid Harvey. Bowen was great directing East back across the field. Ollie Dawkins, Teddy Wilson, they're immense on that home deck at Willara in particular. Wilson and Bowen are wild too, off the back of those big ball runners. Well worth watching. Eastern Suburbs, and match of the round this weekend against Gordon will be terrific. Otto Serfontaine continues to get better. I can't wait to see him through the back half of the season. Sid Harvey is going to love playing behind this pack and this side, picking his moments when to get involved. The engine room did so well too. Boxer and Tougher Wells are terrific. Cobb, and they're so complete at the moment. Souths had the ball when they had the ball. They weren't terrible. Mason Duke worked hard. Fanueli tried to change the temperature. Tui Nakavandra tried, but East were waiting for him, so they were aware of the start to the season he's had. Put their work in there. And some awesome East tries late, including some great work from Henry Palmer, who is back, Nick Cross and Serfontaine. Radamaitavuki Neepkins set up South's only try with some individual class. He's having a great year, but Dawkins ended with a hat trick. Freedom Vahakolo, 2 tries out of the wing. He's built like a hooker in terms of his size, but he moves so well. Edwin Lungy was awesome, playing before he heads off to the Junior World Cup. And look, on paper, it was as complete a side as you'll ever see in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. And maybe not the best or the most star-studded, but that's pretty impressive stuff. So 101-5, the final scoreline. And Kulo, halfway through the season, we've got a clear top 2. But after that top 2, it's so important now for sides. It's almost moving day in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield.
Yeah, there's obviously 2 teams that are front runners at the moment, and West and South find themselves at the bottom. And it's a meaty middle, those teams right there. Anyone on their day, is good for a win. Uni, Eastwood, Manly, North, Randwick. These are sides that are getting back players as well, and they're starting to find that cohesion, which has taken a while for them to kick into gear. And that's probably why, in many ways, East and Ring are at the top. It's the same sides, similar sides to what it was last year. And I think for me, the real dark horse is going to be Gordon and Sydney University. They're going to find form the right part of the season. With Randwick and East, we're just a tab behind as well. They're certainly going to be, no slouches at all this season.
So much to look forward to across the back half of the season. But it all starts for us this weekend at Chatswood Oval. A match of the round in round 10 is Gordon hosting Eastern Suburbs at Chatswood Oval, 3 o'clock on 9gem and 9 now. And joining us is Gordon scrum half Lachie Albert. Lachie, hi, how are you?
Good, lad, yourself?
Very well, thank you. Lachie, congrats on the start to the season. You've been instrumental to keeping Gordon moving, driving them around the park with pace and precision. How have you enjoyed settling into Gordon, and what's that been like in your first year there?
No, it's been good, to be fair. A lot of familiar faces, whether it's around the club or in the team in general. And I think it took a bit for us to get going at the start. Obviously, new combinations, new people coming together. It's always going to be some growing pains, but mate, we're really happy with where we're at the moment, and hopefully a good one on the weekend.
A win against West Harbour leading into this clash. What do you think worked well for you against West Harbour? Because they started well and then you guys just slowly took control and sort of had the game on your own terms towards the end.
Yeah, I think one thing we're slowly learning is you've got to find different ways to win. And we're definitely, especially against teams like West Harbour, make full credit to them. They started really fast. Our goal was to start fast, so got outdone there by the Pirates. But yeah, we're just finding different ways to win and working together and finding different strengths. You always got to look around your team and look within first and see what different guys offer. So it's been awesome to be able to go out there and show a different picture. Whether or not other teams preview that, that's on them.
I think at the moment, Lachie, you're developing a really nice combination with Harry Snook. That win in Mudgee versus Manly was emphatic. It was a massive statement. Just tell us a little bit about how the combinations are going, as you join a new club and playing with new players.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. We've sort of been hit by a fair few just general injuries. So there's been a lot of moving pieces throughout the year. We haven't really got that, I guess, cohesion where we've had the same guys in the field as some other teams might have had. But where we've been kind of fortunate, I guess, is the fact that myself and Snook, as you mentioned, have been playing together, and it's our second year together. So you would have thought we'd learn a thing or two. And we sort of understand how each other play. Someone's in the driver's seat, someone's not, and we do really well together at just knowing who's where, why, and how. And I think there's a calmness between us. Like we never blame each other or point the finger. It's always a conversation, and I think it works quite well in that sense that we're able to just have those conversations. And they're not always good ones. They've got to be tough ones sometimes. So, yeah, you sort of learn the personality you're dealing with, and yeah, it's been thoroughly enjoyable playing with them.
Yeah, you spent time with the Brumbies. You spent time with Southland. You're back balancing a full-time job at the moment. But look, in my view, you're playing some of your best footy. I thought that try versus Sydney University on half-time was individual brilliance. You're really lighting it up at the moment. What's the secret? Is it the balance, or what's making it hum at the moment?
I think I'm pretty fortunate with just support network in terms of the moment. I mentioned off air that I'm working alongside another shoot shield guy in Bo Abra. He's my boss. So just the flexibility of working with a guy that's in the same position. Mind you, he leaves work earlier than I do. So he's setting a great example. Yeah, he's setting a great example. But mate, even when you go up to the higher end of the company itself, got a good mentor there in Peter Maxwell, who played for the Wildfires way back when, and he's very into his training, into his well-being, and just the small things away from that. But touching more so on Gordon, I think the environment we've got around the club at the moment, everyone just backs you. You got this genuine sense of, regardless of what happens, as much as Matt Glascott likes to put a fair bit of pressure on us, there's a genuine care factor there. And I think it does start at the top, where Matt's always at training and asking questions and seeing how guys are feeling. So, yeah, it's just a lot of being able to back yourself because people around you are backing you as well.
I think, you look at the lineup you got this week, and I remember there's nothing better as a guy who's balancing a full-time job and playing, going up against a guy like Teddy Wilson. And Eastern Suburbs in general, they're littered with stars and professional players across the park. How excited are you about going up against Teddy and this beastie side littered with some rock stars, according to them?
Yeah, look, we've been saying they've got to get their passports out to cross the bridge. Just more touching on stuff like that. Look, man, I think it's awesome. There's a lot of chat and commentary around point system players and stuff like that. And the thing is, you want to play against the best and get better. You got to adapt and I guess grow, or you're sinking. You're trying to swim. So, yeah, for us, it's a big focus on us this week. Obviously, they've got their star-studded guys, and coincidentally or not, I played with Jack Bowen at school. So it's nothing new. We've played a lot of footy against each other as a group, and each year they get players back, and it's just whether or not who's better on the day at the end of the day.
Are you keeping an eye on the review boys? I know you played with Jack, I think it was in 2019 or 2020. You're keeping an eye on the review boys and how they're performing this year and last year?
Yeah, well, it's great to see guys, filtering through. Obviously, you got Joe Dillon now coming in at Manly as well, coming back up from Canberra. So, yeah, there are a lot of boys and a lot of faces floating around now. And, look, even the performances at the moment of the first, it's great to see.
You spoke about East's rock stars. A couple of those Eastern Suburbs boys moved across to Gordon ahead of the season. Have we seen Charlie Gamble and Miles Amadocero around Gordon? Have they been able to get back down and get involved yet?
Yeah, look, from our point of view, we haven't seen them, but what's great is having them and that buzz around when and if they'll come back. I know, having played in teams before, and a good one to touch on South, and we got Ethan the group back a few times, and it brings a buzz. You get that bit of experience. They see the picture a different way, and guys like Joey Walton, who's also in that group, when they come in and they add their 10 cents, they don't even need to play really. You get that experience, and they can look at something and go, "Can you do this better?" or offer those bits and pieces. So, yeah, look, it's great to have that noise, but at the end of the day, it's all about the guys that are 1 to 15 and even the finishers on the bench.
East's forward pack, is big. It's mobile. It's quite similar in a lot of ways to Gordon's, and that forward pack's been doing great things for you. What's it like being around them, and who really impresses you week in, week out with sort of how they dictate terms for that Gordon pack?
Look, I'll touch on the guy that I think has come the furthest, like Samson, our tight head prop, mate. He's getting better and better every week. Obviously, you got those established guys like Milan, Tom Horan, Ronan Kelly as well, who's shown that he's a genuine first grader. But Samson's the one that I think, like, he just keeps adding different things to his game. We saw against West Harbour on the weekend. He got high, swam through, kicked the ball, and the whole team got around him instead of Cole Spinks when Cole scored. So, mate, I think it's awesome seeing guys like him developing each week and getting better. And then, obviously, we know what guys like Milan and Tommy Horan and Prez Tafuga bring. So, yeah, it's been awesome from that point of view, and just getting better each week.
Chatswood Oval, we know every side loves getting out to Chatswood and taking on Gordon there. What's your advice to anyone thinking about getting down, and also the secret to enjoying a game day experience out at Chatswood Oval?
I think from my point of view, like, you can't really script it. Like, East have just won 101-5. Like, they're in red hot form. There'll be plenty of signatures after the game from those boys coming back. So I think from our point of view, if you want to come down to Chatswood Oval, it'll just be a good game of footy. Like, I think both teams play a great brand. I've obviously played under both coaches and sort of have a good idea of what they like to do and how they like to play. So, yeah, I think in terms of that, like, you've got two up-and-coming coaches that are competing against each other as well. So it just adds another bit of a layer to it too.
Have loved getting your insight and thoughts on everything from a Gordon perspective, but across the comp as well. Lachie, congrats on the start to the season. Good luck this Saturday and of course, through the back half of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield season as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and love what you're doing here. It's great to get the game out there.
Eastern Suburbs are headed to Chatswood Oval to take on Gordon in the match of the round, 3 o'clock on 9gem and 9 now. And joining us is Eastern Suburbs coach Ben Batger. Ben, how are you?
Great, thanks, Will. Yeah, good to be on the show. I'm a regular watcher every Friday afternoon when it gets loaded up, so excited to be on myself.
Love that, and love what you're doing with Easts this year. Another great start to the campaign. The performance on the weekend, 101-5. What did you... Or what were you most impressed by with that performance?
Yeah, firstly, look, I think, for South, they just got us on a bad day, unfortunately. We were a little bit angry after a loss, so we had 2 weeks to think about how we got smashed by Uni. Then we get a few guys back, and we had one of those days where the ball would just bounce our way every way possible. So, but look, I was really happy that we were able to keep up that intensity for 80 minutes. Normally, sort of when you get out to a big lead, you can take your foot off the accelerator, but we were, the guys that came on the bench, they kept it going, and to run up a score like that's obviously, pretty impressive.
A number of new faces across the squad, and we'll have a look at a few of those for this week as well. But who's impressed you this season? Because you've had a different side most weeks with players being injured or unavailable. Who is some of the players who have impressed you most coming in? Yeah,
we really have. I think we've used something like 45 players already in the season. And that's also a bit of a plan where we're trying to give guys, exposure in first grade for years down the track, because we've got a lot of good guys that have been in a very good, successful cult system coming through. So 2 of those young guys that I think have been most impressive, Edward Lange, the tight head prop, he's probably on a plane right now to the Oz 20s, and then a big lock as well, which they don't come around too often, Tom Girl, who came off the bench last week. He's a really good young player. So it's good to see those young guys that we've sort of invested in come through.
Last year, Ben, 35-17, round 18, Chatswood's a graveyard for a lot of sides. Is last year's result in the back of your minds, or you just focus purely on this season and this game this week?
You can't help but think about it. Everyone will tell you that it's, new team, new season, all that. You don't think about it, but you can't help but think you go into a place where, we got our butt smacked. I didn't want to swear there on the podcast, but we got hammered there. Honestly, we got hammered there last year. So, and it is a tough place to play. It's a funny ground because it's there's only atmosphere in one corner of the ground. It's a crappy parking day and stuff like that. So it has, and I don't think they've lost there this year as well. So it's a tough place to play, and it's one where we've got to, sort of accept that challenge and take it head on.
on that note, you're sport for choice, right? You put 3 figures on South last week. There's a high quality number of players across the whole club from first grade to fourth grade, but 5 changes after a win like that into a game against Gordon that is a bit of a bogey side. Chatswood Oval's a bogey side. You worried about the cohesion change or the combination change, or the boys are just seeing it like watermelons at the moment?
No, I think you're always worried about that cohesion piece, but it's, you got to look at the bigger picture. We want guys to get exposure in big games, and this is a big game. So, if we come into the finals, we can call upon a number of players. So I guess, for me as the head coach, we're doing a bit of mixing and matching at the moment because we've got a lot of depth. I'm just trying to find the best balance for the team. So yeah, it's a bit of a long-term planning and again, giving guys a crack as well and seeing what they can produce.
I think as well, the lineup more has been a massive weapon, for you guys this season. And I don't want to steal your assistant coach, Jed Gillespie's thunder, who's done a brilliant job, with the pack. But against University last week, the lineup sort of struggled a little bit. It was the first time this season you guys haven't, scored a more try. A couple of changes. I see Jack Nelson Murray's coming at hooker. Is the maul still a potent weapon for you guys? You're planning to use it this week? There's been a lot of work on it at training.
Yeah, it is. It's obviously, it's one of our core things. I think one of our core elements is our set piece, the scrum, the line out. You can include the maul and that. So we take a lot of pride in that. And Jed coached it, I think better than anyone in the competition. So I think you've got to have it as one of your weapons, but you've probably got to have a plan B as well. And against Sydney Uni, we probably didn't really have that plan B. Once the maul missed out a couple of times, we didn't have enough, bullets in the gun elsewhere. So we've worked on that the last few weeks, and obviously getting a few good troops back helps as well.
With that depth that you speak of, and great scenes behind you as well, what is the vibe across the club from a Colts perspective? Getting some of the big names back, are people excited about what Easts are doing? Like, what is the vibe across the entire club?
Yeah, it's quite amazing. I don't know how much you can see behind me, but every Tuesday and Thursday we have I think it's 150 kids, East juniors that train before us. So there's 150 kids on the fields. You got, if I pan over there, you got mums and dads drinking at our clubhouse. So it's a real vibrant place at the moment. And the fact that, we've got some success. Colts won a premiership 2 years ago. We won a premiership 2 years ago. Both played in the grand final last year. Well, I think if you're an Eastern Suburbs person or supporter, you want to cash in because these good times don't last necessarily. So we want sustained success, but history tells you that when you get a hot period, you want to enjoy it while it lasts because it can't last forever.
Gordon, this weekend, Kulo's touched on it, Chatswood Oval, hard to play at, and they're attacking from everywhere. What do you see as some of the main weapons that you need to shut down on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I don't think you want to give them too much like turnover ball or transition football. They're very good. Their backline's very fast and skillful. And to be fair, their forward pack's quite skillful as well. So we probably want to see it, and it's probably a bit more to our strength as well, stick more to the set piece and limit their opportunities in open play.
Otto Serfontaine's having an incredible season. Seems to have gone to another level in attack. We loved his defence last year, but he seems to be relishing every opportunity. Do you think there's a professional conversation coming for players like Otto in the not-too-distant future?
I'd love to think so, yeah. Otto's been amazing, and, he got exposure in that Super Rugby AU, and he had a pre-season with the Waratahs as well. And I know the Brumbies have chatted about him as well. So he's certainly an excellent young talent, and, yeah, if he gets an opportunity, mate, I think he'd be able to take it.
And what about you? Where are you at with your coaching journey? I think you're on about an 83% success rate from a win percentage, since taking over Eastern Suburbs. Is that the sort of trajectory you'd be keen to be on in the next little while? Have you had those conversations with any professional outfits?
Oh, look, I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't love to do that. That's sort of I'm just like the players down here that haven't got contracts. They love to go to the next level. And as a coach, I'd love to go to the next level. I guess the only thing I can control, mate, is keep winning for East. And, if you can add another competition title onto it, it's sort of your value goes up, so to speak, I think.
Oh, we've loved what you've done with East and looking forward to seeing you out at Chatswood Oval on Saturday. Gordon versus East, 2 versus 3. Ben, always a pleasure.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me on the show, guys. And, yeah, I love what you guys are doing. The exposure to the Shute Shield's really good. So the more we can get this going, the better it'll be.
Round 10 of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. Our match of the round is Gordon hosting Eastern Suburbs out at Chatswood Oval, 3 p.m. on 9 Gem and 9 Now. Tom Coolican, second versus third. Can't wait.
Chatswood Oval, it's a real graveyard for sides, and it certainly was last year. 35-17, round 18. East, probably the most emphatic loss of the season, and really stunted their momentum going into the finals. It threw them. I really think that game probably cost them, in many ways, the premiership. Gordon, they're the bogey side for a lot of teams, and under Dave Telfer, who's brought a sprinkling of cream back from Eastwood, he's certainly found their gear at the moment as well. Jack Hardy comes back in at centre, Cole Spinks and Ronan Kelly. So 3 changes in 3 critical positions. But for me, it's all about the Lachie Albert Harris Snook combination, how they can steer that Gordon side around the park. And, if they can get under the skin of this Eastern Suburbs side that's littered with stars, I mean, it's not often you win by 100 points and you have 5 changes, but Nelson Murray coming in, Will Harris from the Western Force, Hokafuna, who's been a handful this year, Viacola goes in to centre, and Henry Palmer comes in on the wing. It's stars everywhere, Wilson and Bowen. But, the battle between Wilson and Albert's going to be absolutely brilliant. And then Snook versus Bowen as well. The professional versus semi-professional players, who are in their prime from a professional perspective versus those semi-professional players. It's going to be a great combination there. And I think if the crowd can get involved, conditions are a little bit, wet, a little bit dewy, a little bit windy, and Gordon get under the skin of the Beasties, I think they're a red-hot chance, and I wouldn't be surprised if they fancy themselves. They've been the Achilles heels for this Beasties side for a long time. There'll be a lot of banter, a lot of niggle. It's going to be an absolute doozy.
The Two Blues hosting Norths out at Eric Tweedale. Norths are going to have to beat the Two Blues. We've seen many times this season the class that they have, and they've pushed sides plenty of times. So you'd hope the Two Blues respond after that loss against Warringah, where they saw the level that they need to be at. Probably the last week of Rod Yona before he heads to the Nations Cup with Samoa. So important for them to try and make sure that they stay well and truly in touch with the top 6. Mataeli starts. He was great off the bench. Took him a tiny bit to settle into the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, but he's genuine class. Angus Scott Young in the back row again, and Dolakoto showed his prowess at hooker. A lot to like about the Two Blues lineup again for Norths. Tangi Fuimaona starts at 8. Seamus Smith is in at 9. So no Michael McDonald. Bury is listed at 10. And their bench was terrific last weekend. And they have built that nice depth as a result of the lineups they've been able to put out over the start of the season. So hopefully that stands Norths in good stead through the back half. But it's another big week for them. They need to be winning to keep in touch with the top 6 too. Two Blues is a big clash for them. Forwards have to set the platform for both sides, and maybe that's where Norths can really try and get on top in terms of their mobility. But it should be a really good clash, and I'm looking forward to it. Two Blues hosting Norths. Randwick versus Eastwood at Coogee Oval. These great clashes continue, Kulo.
Yeah, only one change for the Randwick side, coming off a very dominant win, 31-21, versus Manly at Ladies' Day out at Manly Oval. Takiri, who scored a wonderful intercept try, has been replaced by Alex Malloy, who's gone to the wing with Hendrick coming at fullback. His preferred position, I think Turinui is a player on the rise, 10's his preferred position. It makes sense to have that combination going there. Super Rugby players, they're very much welcome back. Barrett and Finau, Aleb Colt, they've been brilliant as a front row, and having them back in full swing is going to make a massive difference. For me, though, it's their defence. It's their line speed, it's the ability to get off the line in unison and cause havoc. Particularly for Brad Roderick Evans, who's going to start at 10 this weekend. He hasn't played for a while. They've mixed and matched that combination a little bit. I think line speed and firm line speed across the park is going to make a massive difference. Getting in his face and putting pressure on him, forcing mistakes. And this Randwick side with that firepower, I think the ability to score from anywhere, they can play that game, love to play the galloping greens, run it from anywhere, score from anywhere. I think they're a real chance if it's a dry day down there at Coogee Oval. Eastwood, we talked about 5 of their 8 forwards going 80 minutes last weekend. That's going to take a toll. You can't keep doing that week in, week out. They don't have that depth on the bench. The fitness can only last them so long. I hope that isn't this week. I think this is going to be a really, really tight game. And we know this Eastwood side can dig in for each other and score from anywhere. It was a massive win versus University last week. I think this is a tough challenge. I think the legs are going to be a little bit heavy. It was a big game for them last week. I think the weeks will probably run over the top of them. And Eastwood will come close, but it'll be no cigar.
Hunter Wildfires hosting Southern Districts. It's a huge occasion for Southern Districts, understandably, after last week. But congratulations to Drew Tonks, who referees. It'll be his 100th Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield clash. He's the fourth referee in the history of the Shute Shield to reach 100 Shute Shields matches that he has refereed. So congratulations to Drew Tonks, one of the most experienced we have in the game, and a terrific person as well. So there's no TJ Talaleva as we get close to the Under-20s World Cup. Moses Jones named at 10 for Hunter. Cullen Gray moves to 12. He was great last week. John Porch is kicking really well. He settled in beautifully. For South's tough trip north, they have to go all the way up to the Hunter. Surely they have to be up for it, though, after that match at Wallara. Don McGrath's in at 7. Zane Gator's back in on the right wing. They're capable, there's no doubt. We've spoken plenty about Souths and the periods and games they've had, and also early pushing teams right to that final whistle. Hunter were good against North, far from perfect, though. It's an interesting fixture. Great chance to put last week behind them for Souths. Hunter going as favourites, and you'd expect them to be ready for that rearguard action. So looking forward to this one. Uni versus West Harbour at University.
Yeah, West Harbour coming off a disappointing loss to Gordon. Gordon was just too good, and University, losing at the death to Eastwood, they'll be licking their wounds, a wounded beast, if you will. Paddy Tagg comes into the starting side. He was good off the bench last week. For University, though, it's just time and saddle. They need time with combinations. They need to play rugby together, and the coaches need to get the inclusions of those bench players coming in. We've got some incredible firepower. Clem Holo coming off the bench. Austin Durbridge, these are Waratah contracted players. You need to bring them on at the right time, and then also allow those combinations to gel. So I think this is a game that University need. It'll be a tune-up game. There's 3 changes for the West Harbour side. Alcock's come in, Jared Burns has come in, and Matt Whelan's come in. All massive ins. Sione Taufui, Aidan Wern, they're ex-University players. Ben Rutherford coaches at University. They know how University play. I can see West Harbour being in this game for 40 or 50 minutes, but then that bench will come on and the cream will sort of rise to the top. West Harbour are up against it, this week, particularly in the front row. That'll be a big, big set piece show that University will look to put on. But yeah, like I said, University just need time in saddle. They need time for those combinations to gel. They'll be too good.
Warringah hosting Manly at Pittwater. Battle of the Beaches. The forecast is good. If you are anywhere near the area, get out and watch this great occasion from the very start of the day all the way through till the end. There'll be plenty there, and we can't wait for it. Keelan Whitman is back into the second row. Luke Reimer to start at 8. He will love it. Warringah are heavy favourites at home, there's no doubt. Manly get Caden Neville back in, which is more than handy for them, it must be said. DeStazo starts at 7. Dickens and Dillon have a big day ahead of them. They're going to need to kick really well. They're going to need to make sure that Manly are in the right part of the field, but kick accurately as well because of Warringah's counter. Glenn Vire, who was incredible last week, as you've touched on. It's hard to see Manly beating Warringah on any normal sort of day, but it's not any normal sort of day when there's 2 sides play. So it goes out the window a little bit, but Warringah have won a few of these in a row, and Manly's going to have to put points on early. Warringah's so deep. Angus Gardner is refereeing, so a bit of star power in the middle as well. But a great occasion, and no doubt Manly will be up for it, but Warringah, understandably heavy favourites with the way that they are going and at home. So that is it. Round 10 of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield coming up. We are halfway through the season, Coolo. So many great clashes to look forward to this weekend.
Completely. 3 games of the round. You've got Battle of the Beaches, you've got Randwick Eastwood, and you've got Gordon East, which was the upset of the season last year. That's 3 games that I think are going to come down to the wire. So it's really exciting seeing the teams, shape up against each other, and it's getting pointy, Will.
Certainly is. Enjoy the match of the round across 9 Gem and 9 Now. All other matches available across the Stan Sport Network, and we'll look forward to next week on the Shootout.